text of a press statement to demand presidential assent to the Sexual Harassment in Tertiary Educational Institutions Bill and activates a winning coalition against sexual harassment in Nigeria. As a collective, we stand at the forefront of a pressing national concern that demands immediate attention. Today, we bring forth a call for urgency, accountability, and transformative change in the face of pervasive sexual harassment and abuse of office on our campuses. In the wake of a global reckoning against sexual harassment, our nation is at a critical junction that demands our collective action on the emergence of Nigeria tertiary institutions as the center port for power-driven sexual harassment. The very institutions meant to foster education and personal growth have become breeding grounds for abuse, particularly affecting the lives of female students. The gravity of power-driven sexual harassment remains inadequately addressed, overshadowed by the stark reality highlighted in a 2018 survey by the World Bank Group's Women, Business and Law. Alarming statistics reveal that 70% of female graduates from Nigerian tertiary institutions have been subjected to sexual harassment, an epidemic proportion indicative of systemic and structural deficits. These distressing figures are not mere statistics. They represent the lived experiences of countless young women whose educational journey has been marred by the insidious specter of harassment. The recent student protests and the brave outcry against the Dean of Faculty of Law, University of Calabar, whose history is marred by allegations of sexual harassment and rape, underscores the urgency for systemic change and also serves as a wake-up call, compelling us to confront the gravity of the issue and demand immediate action to protect the rights and well-being of students across Nigeria. The combined weight of the World Bank survey and the incidents at the University of Calabar and other institutions paints a grim picture of the widespread prevalence of sexual harassment in our fine institutions. It is not an isolated problem, but rather an epidemic that jeopardizes the integrity of the education system and the well-being of students, especially female students. The epidemic proportion of this issue serves as a pregnant reminder that we must address the root causes and implement robust measures to dismantle the culture of sexual harassment that pervades our institutions of higher learning. Various initiatives have been set in motion by diverse actors to combat this scourge of sexual harassment. Notably, the Federal Ministry of Education's endorsement of a model sexual harassment policy, co-designed and validated by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, Gender Mobile Initiative, and higher education institutions In addition to this, a range of procedural and redressive measures has been implemented, including the design of a whistleblowing platform, legal reform advocacy, awareness campaigns, and preventative education initiatives. These collective efforts demonstrate significant potential for transformative change. However, a critical void persists, an urgent need for a comprehensive legal framework that provides statutory backing to criminalize sexual harassment in higher education institutions. The absence of a dedicated legal framework leaves a critical gap that must be filled to ensure the effectiveness and sustainability of our collective efforts against sexual harassment. The Sexual Harassment Prohibition in Tertiary Education Institution Bill presents a promising solution. This comprehensive legislation is crafted to address the nuances of sexual harassment, providing a clear definition of offenses to address definitional clarity, establishing stringent penalties for perpetrators, and outlining mechanisms for the prevention and redress of sexual harassment. Regrettably, despite the urgency of the matter, the bill has lingered on the desk of the Nigerian president awaiting the seal of approval. This delay is disheartening and raises concerns about the commitment to eradicating sexual harassment within our educational institutions. The need for statutory backing is not just a formality. It is a fundamental requirement to ensure that the provisions of the bill are legally enforceable and carry the necessary gravitas to effect real change. The President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria recently signed into law the Student Loan Bill, a commendable initiative aimed at facilitating students' access to interest-free loans from the Nigerian Education Loan Fund. While this represents a positive step in supporting students financially, it is crucial to recognize that the effectiveness of such initiative is compromised if the learning environment remains tainted by the pervasive issue of sexual harassment. The Student Loan Bill, in its essence, is a tool to empower students in their pursuit of education. However, the impact of this empowerment is diminished if the educational journey of students, particularly female students, is marred by the trauma of sexual harassment. As such, the success of the Student Loan Bill is intrinsically tied to the broader initiative to eradicate sexual harassment in tertiary education institutions. Access to education is a fundamental right that must be safeguarded. But the true essence of education goes beyond mere access. It encompasses a holistic experience that includes a safe and supportive learning environment. The fight against sexual harassment is not a separate battle, but an integral part of ensuring that the educational journey of everyone, particularly women and girls, is enriching, empowering, and free from violence. The dichotomy between access to education and the quality of the learning environment underscores the need for a comprehensive approach. The President's commitment to education, as demonstrated by the Student Loan Bill, must extend to creating an environment where students, particularly female students, have healthy, safe, inclusive, and equitable access to education. Addressing sexual harassment in tertiary institutions is not just a moral imperative, but a national emergency that demands swift and decisive action. The President's action or lack thereof will send a powerful message about the nation's values and its dedication to fostering an environment where every student, particularly female students, can thrive. As we commemorate the 16 days of activism, our hope is anchored in the belief that immediate action from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, specifically the prompt signing of the Sexual Harassment Prohibition in Tertiary Education Institutions Bill, will mark a significant milestone in the fight against sexual harassment. The delay in presidential assent has left a void in our collective effort, and we trust that the President's commitment to the well-being of Nigerian students will translate into swift and resolute action. We look forward to witnessing a tangible demonstration of the President's dedication to creating safe and nurturing learning environments for all. The diverse coalition of stakeholders here today reaffirms its unwavering commitment to ending sexual harassment in Nigerian tertiary institutions. This commitment extends beyond the press conference to sustained advocacy, collaboration, and the ongoing pursuit of legislative, cultural, and institutional. By joining forces, we aspire to create an environment where every student can pursue education without the pervasive threat of sexual harassment. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Dr. Ibikunle. I'm the Director, Center for Gender Security Studies, University of Abuja. We have been partnering with GMI for quite some time in the training of our students on how to be bystanders who will be responsive and to help. GMI has created a lot of awareness about gender violence, specifically sexual harassment. If you work in the university, you will know that sexual harassment cases are underreported. And they are underreported for a variety of reasons. So no matter how much the pressure from outside comes, the first thing is to get the vice chancellors to move from the lack of political will to address issues of sexual harassment. I'm happy to see CVC. I'm so sad I didn't get to know of this until I came back from Abraka, because we had directors of gender of all Nigerian universities meeting in Abraka. We would have really loved to at least come in here, maybe from North Central, one or two. We are committed to reducing. We may not eliminate, but if the perpetrators, I call them sexual predators, they are academic sexual predators. If they know that within the system, there is no hiding place, before you call on ICPC and all the other prosecuting agencies, this will reduce. Our problem is that within the system, there is a lack of political will. So I'm very happy to see CVC. We are discussing with NUC. We must do a system-wide approach if we want this thing to reduce, not silos. A system-wide, systematic approach, because it's a cancer and it's reducing the academic integrity of our university degrees. So thank you, Gender Mobile. We'll still be working with you.
I'd like to join you in calling on the President to give speedy assent to the bill, and I'd also like to ask your organization to pay some attention, maybe in future, to harassments, reports which have reached us in the Commission of harassments, even of female disabled students in universities. Once again, it's our pleasure to be here, and like I said, we are ready to partner with you in this work and in whatever future tasks you decide to undertake. Thank you very much.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I bring you good tidings from the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetekun, PhD. My name is DCP Rita Oyintare Oki. I'm DC Gender for CID Abuja. And I want to really commend the GMI. You are doing a great job. But as it is now, I think my department is overlooking the aspect of gender cases in campuses. And as it is now, the Inspector General of Police has made it mandatory for all universities to have a section, a gender-based section in all universities, so as to assist these girls, children. So we commend your effort. We'll partner with you. We are open. And since we have a big forum here, I can give my number. When it's gender, it's a very sensitive thing, and it's not usually what used to be. When you report such cases, actions are not taken. That is no longer the case. So we are open. And most importantly, with even the courts section, the Ministry of Justice, they have even put in place whereby we have swift and quick response in cases of prosecution of such accusers and offenders for action, active action. So this time around, we hope and believe that these whole measures will come to an end, at least reduced to the barest minimum. Thank you, GNI, for your great initiative. All other partners are equally thank you as well, and I'm open. Partner with me. We'll be there for you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for everyone who is at this program to be here to the very end with us. On behalf of the Gender Mobile team, we really do appreciate you taking out the time to be here. And as the persons at the high table and all of us have mentioned, sexual harassment is a systemic issue which requires a systems approach to be able to address this issue. And we definitely cannot do this in silos. It has to be collective. And I'm so happy on behalf of the organization that today marks the emergence of what we call a winning coalition. This is not just a coalition of regulatory bodies. It's not just a coalition of stakeholders in the government, non-government, academic sector, civil society sector, and other sectors, but it's a winning coalition that would forge ahead together as a team to collectively and systemically address sexual harassment in our fine institutions of learning. Thank you so much for being here, and we don't take you for granted. Just know that this is the beginning of our work as a collective. This is not an end in itself. So expect to hear more of us, as we do expect to hear from you as well. Thank you so much, and God bless.
Hi, my name is Omowumi Ogunrotimi. I am the lead director at Gender Mobile Initiative. Today, Gender Mobile Initiative convened a press conference essentially to amplify the call for the Sexual Harassment Prohibition in Tertiary Education Institutions Bill. You'd recall that in 2016, the Anti-Sexual Harassment Bill was actually introduced on the floor of the House to address sexual harassment in the environment of learning. The Sexual Harassment Bill was introduced, on the floor of the National Assembly. And I would say that since 2015 to date, a lot of advocacy efforts, have been invested in ensuring that this bill gets assented to. Thankfully, sometime this year, the bill was actually passed by the House of Reps. So sometime this year, the bill was, passed by the House of Reps and also the Senate. And in the last 2 months, a lot of efforts have been invested into encouraging or urging the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to assent to the bill. So the bill is actually that comprehensive legal framework that helps to criminalize sexual harassment. We do not have such in Nigeria, and it has created a void in our collective and individual efforts to address sexual harassment in the environment of learning. Gender Mobile as an organization has actually done a lot of work in this regard, supporting individual tertiary education institutions to develop comprehensive policies. While policies are good, they are actually not enough in themselves. So it's important that we actually have that piece of legal framework that we can all collectively, rely on to address sexual harassment. And of course, if you're following the news, you see that the ICPC actually has strategically litigated sexual harassment cases, and the most profound one being the case of Professor Akindele of OAU. And since then, of course, that actually signaled, the zero tolerance stance of the institution against sexual harassment. So today's event is actually to amplify the call for the presidential assent to the Sexual Harassment Bill. It is long overdue, and we believe that the president actually needs to prioritize safe, healthy, equitable, and inclusive access to higher education.
We had our press briefing on sexual harassment and presidential assent on the Sexual Harassment Bill today. And in this press conference, we had a segment called Wall of Tweets. What is Wall of Tweets? It's a segment where we had to showcase tweets and stories of people who are actually passing through sexual harassment in university communities, graduates who have actually passed through sexual harassment, and people who are actually talking about their struggles with sexual harassment. We have several tweets here, over 30, and I would like you to go through some of them. Someone said here that it's how this was and still a current trend in Nigerian university. Nigeria needs to stop condoning sexual harassment culture. Someone also came here to mention the name of the lecturer and said they had to retake the person's course because she refused to have sex with him. And there are stories like that, several stories, unique stories. And in collating these tweets, we were able to see that it's not just public universities. We have students of private universities actually complaining. There's this tweet from Tolani Blaze D, which says that a lecturer in their department at Covenant University is actually currently sexually harassing students. We have people mention names of lecturers. We have people who also didn't mention the names of lecturers, but are talking about it. One of these tweets said that you face sexual harassment from your teachers and corpers in secondary school. You go to university and face it from lecturers. During your service year, you face it from NYSC officials. When you start working, you face it even more. As a woman, you will never catch a break. And this is almost the reality of most women in Nigeria. At every junction of our life, there's the possibility that we are going to be sexually harassed. Even in marketplaces, in places of worship, you are sexually harassed and you're prone to sexual harassment. And this is a reality check to all of us. It happens in our society. It does not affect just women alone. It does not affect boys alone. But we need to come and start talking about these stories and these realities and trying to ensure that we work together to create the change we need. We hope that the Sexual Harassment Bill is signed by the President and we can take things up from there.